Hi, this is Mike O'Brien. I'm Senior Editor of Multichannel Merchant and Programmer for the Operations Summit. And I'm here today talking to David Tull, who's the Customer Engagement Manager at Jackthreads and also a speaker at our Omnichannel pre-conference and main conference sessions this year at the Operations Summit. Hey, David, how you doing?
Fantastic, Mike. How are you?
Great, thanks. Okay, so obviously today, with so many people involved on a regular basis in social media, it's where brands need to be engaging with their customers in all kinds of different ways, and obviously the contact center is a key piece of that. So take a minute to talk a little bit about how you successfully integrate social media into the contact center and help make that a primary way that you're connecting and dealing with customer issues, keeping them delighted. And I know that's an area that Jackthreads has put a lot of time and attention into.
Well, it just kind of happened organically for us, as I'm sure it did for a lot of people. But early on, it was marketing reaching out to get us to help with customers who had service questions, and then that evolved into us just helping the customers and eliminating the middleman. I would describe what we do now as the scenario like a hub of marketing and customer service people. We don't think of it that way, but that's how I hear it described, outside of our business. But for us, it just became the organic way that made the most sense to communicate with our customers. So the marketing team still handles all of the outbound communication, sort of the brand presence, driving the brand voice and what product we're going to feature in our social conversations. But then all of the one-on-one engagement that takes place, customer to customer, whether it's a service issue or sale or just engagement to delight a customer, that's all coming from customer service. And what we find is that because we delight directly from the call center, that can lead to sales, that can lead to service, that can lead to future loyalty. We're in a position where we can strike up a conversation about a pair of boat shoes and then put it right in their cart on the third or fourth tweet or Facebook post or Instagram comment. We're right there with the customer. We can serve them and get an order placed while they're in the funnel.
Okay, and ultimately, who is kind of controlling what happens as far as social engagement with customers? Is it still marketing primarily driving it, or is it kind of a collaborative thing? Kind of talk about how the leadership and management of that breaks down.
It's become more and more collaborative over time. I'd still say that marketing drives the overall strategy and the content of the outbound communication, but now it's tailored to knowing that they have this customer service resource that can keep the conversation going. So we're more likely to feature, for instance, a sale on our page that is inspired by our Instagram posts, because they know that the customer service team is going to be right there to help customers identify what item is that in that picture, how can I buy it right now, and get a little help doing that. So in the past year or so, we've become much more involved in helping to determine that strategy, sharing that conversation with them, and being really more of a mutual partner with marketing in driving our social strategy and engagement.
Okay, and how do you balance the traditional customer channels with social, and more importantly, how do you, in turn, push that out to the associates, get them trained and prepared for using all those, effectively?
That's interesting. It's another case where, because we're still a growing business, and when we first started off, e-commerce only, the digital side of things dominated everything, and it only took a while for traditional customer service channels like phones to work its way in. So we were more defined by our presence on live chat and by our presence on social in terms of what kind of tone we set with customers, what kind of decisions we make for them, and the kind of relationship we build. So by the time we got a phone number, the digital presence was already so strong that it's sort of a reverse for us. Traditional channels follow the ones that are more on the bleeding edge, the live chat, the mobile chat, and social media interactions. So they help define the brand voice. They help set an example to the team. So when we train associates for social media, they're very conscious of the fact that they are now speaking for the brand to a much larger audience, but also speaking to their fellow associates as well. What they say is going to drive calibration on how we interact with customers on the phone, how we interact with them on email. So in a lot of ways, we don't have the digital channels trying to catch up with traditional. It's the other way around. The digital channels are the ones that lead for us, and we try to find ways to make the traditional channels more likely for finding success in with those.
Right, and I would imagine the scenario you just outlined is probably more often the case with newer companies like yourselves, where it's kind of like you say, the reverse of the traditional kind of path of
Yeah.
adding and integrating channels, right?
Exactly. I mean, I think I worked for the business for 2 years before we even got a phone number. And ultimately, it really was just because we knew people just need to hear a voice sometimes. We need to serve those customers. But it didn't take away from the focus that, like, let's keep driving chat. Let's keep driving our social media presence. To the point now that we've opened live chat on the weekends and extended our hours beyond 9 p.m. to midnight in closer pursuit of a 24/7 service operation. But chat is going to drive that. Digital channels are going to drive that, not traditional channels like phone and email, because that's where our customers live. That's where we get the highest demand, the highest volume, and to balance it out with our relationship with our other partners in the business is where we get the highest traffic and sales as well, and our highest conversion rates for communicating with customers.
Okay, great. And then lastly, David, talk about how you are able to both identify and pursue the right type of success metrics for what you're doing in social and pretty much across your customer care for Jackthreads.
Yeah, mostly listening to customers, listening to what's going on around the industry. We have a really valuable partner in Conversocial. They've been a great asset to us in keeping their ear to the ground and regularly reporting back on what customer expectations are around the industry. And you know, the vibe we're getting there is that pretty much everybody's expecting a response within 30 minutes at least. That seems to be more of an industry standard now. And you have even major brands like American Airlines out there with an average response time of less than 4 minutes. So the pressure's on, and that sounds, from what we're hearing from brands, from vendors, and from customers, the expectation is increasingly getting lower and lower and lower. So staying in that conversation really helps us identify what those key metrics are and to continue to meet them. What's helped us stay in line with those expectations is moving beyond to kind of set this up. Once you establish a social presence in the call center, you have to make a decision. Are you going to have dedicated social agents, or are you going to cross-train people to do a little bit of both, or are you going to bring some marketing people in and cross-train them to do customer service tasks? You know, we always brought in people from our own team in customer service, trained them up in the brand voice to behave and engage in a social environment. What we've learned over time is that we started off with a narrow pool of associates who were trained to do that, so we could keep tight control over the brand voice. We needed to be a little bit broader. So we moved away from dedicated agents, more to cross-training our best people to create a full stable of associates who could jump into social if the need presents itself. Because the volume can be unpredictable. Sometimes we need 3 people on, sometimes we might need 2, sometimes you might need 1 just for coverage to make sure that we're monitoring it. But having a wider stable of cross-trained associates, not just dedicated people, one, it helps us flex into customer demand as it fluctuates. 2, it really helps with associate morale. It gives them something to shoot for. They want to be on social. They want to be speaking for the brand, especially the people we have on our team who are just out of college, coming into their first job. This is a way for them to expand their skill set in a way that another call center job would never let them do. So it's something that we even actually coach them up on before going to career fairs or interviews for other gigs to say, like, look, talk this up, make sure this is part of your pitch, because this is really exciting that you get to do this. It's a great way to connect with customers, and when they see it as part of their career development, that gets them invested in driving really strong KPIs and providing a really strong customer experience, and it's driven great results for us so far. We look forward to continue to seeing that average response time go down, both for us and across the whole industry.
Terrific. Okay, so just in closing, I just want to say if you're interested in hearing more in-depth insights and trends in areas like social and the contact center, and to hear David speak on that, come out to our Operations Summit, which is going to be April 14th through the 16th in Louisville, Kentucky. And you can find out more at www.operationssummit.com. We're going to have over 50 merchant speakers in 50-plus sessions talking about everything to do with direct-to-consumer, e-commerce, and omnichannel operations of fulfillment. David, thanks again very much, and looking forward to seeing you in Louisville.
It's my pleasure, Mike. Looking forward to it, too.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.